The other day I released my Should You Craft a Wolf Hat video, and I did mention a little bit about farming and that I wanted to do a video with a guide on how to farm Fenrir. And I acknowledged in the comments that I'm pretty lucky. I have both Rain and Delita fire units that can do a ton of damage and not take much damage from the units in this brutal challenge. So I saw some people commenting that, you know, you couldn't reliably farm it, and that's going to be the case sometimes. So for example, with the Iron Giants, I just couldn't reliably farm it both the times that it was available, and I don't have a super high golden armor because of that. So sometimes you're just not going to have the units at the time, but these quests do rerun, and you will get another shot. But I do think that, you know, you can play around with your units and you can find something that works. So what I did yesterday was I played around with my different formations, and I made a party with no fire units, and I was able to reliably farm the brutal Fenrir quest. And by reliably, I mean that someone isn't dying every single encounter. Now, once in a while, you're going to get really unlucky with paralysis, and people are going to die. You're going to lose some bravery, and that's fine. That happens on my main good team. Frederica will die sometimes, and her bravery will eventually go down to chicken levels, and I just put her in the barracks, or I do some bravery runs quickly with my samurai or whatever it is, and I get her back up, and that's from farming for like overnight, so a long period of farming. Now if she was dying every single quest, that would be an issue because her bravery would just shoot all the way down, so that's not okay. So when we say reliably farm this quest, I mean that, you know, sure, some units might die every couple of runs or longer, but then you can just work on their bravery later, and the payoff is pretty good because even if you're not going to farm a wolf hat or mask, whatever it's called, hat's way better, then you're going to get insane drop rates on materials and adamantite, all that kind of stuff. So I think this is a quest that, you know, even if it's a slow week, you need something to put your energy into. If you don't want to use, you know, you just want to use your daily refreshes or whatever, this is the quest you should be doing it for. So let's take a look at the formations. So here's the team that I usually farm this quest with, and you can see we've got Rain, Delita, and then which are my fire units. I've got magic units, which is what these enemies are weak to. So we've got Selir, and then we have Ildira, who's also my healer, and then we have Frederica, who is just a super fast unit, and also projectile, which is what these units are weak to. So I also use things like the area reduction from Death Machine. You can also use Bloody Moon. I use something like Vow of Love to kind of divert people's attention away from Frederica, although because the wolves have the 3-hit combo, Vow of Love and Hate in general isn't going to stick very long, and even with that, it's not that big a deal to have Hate because Fenrir has so many AoE attacks that he's just going to be hitting everybody anyway. But otherwise, I've just got some, like, even, you know, Fenrir card to reduce some magic damage from the elementals, and then you can stick some defensive cards on units that you don't want to die. So for example, I've got the Horn, or sorry, the Leonis Castle here. So this is my winning team. So for my other team, this is what I'm going to show you here. I've used units that most people have, with a few exceptions. So I did use Medina at first, and then I ended up putting Victoria in, but Medina did work. I thought this was more consistent because Victoria is a little bit beefier, but Medina is a unit everybody gets for free now. Frederica is a unit that everyone can max with friend shot medals. Mont is your starting MR tank, and he does very well to take the blows of a lot of units here, even though I know I said tanks aren't incredibly good, but you want people that can stay alive and that Fenrir can focus on. And then Ramza, again, very beefy guy, so any beefy unit could work in his place. He's not even that great as a damage. Like I would actually use Lilith instead in this position, but Lilith is a fire unit, and this is a no fire units allowed. So if we take a look at her though, we can just see real quick that she gets the Ranger subjob, which means that she can actually use all these different projectile attacks. So she's a fire projectile user. She gets the reflex ability, so that's really huge here too. You can just dodge a lot of stuff. So this is she's a really great unit for this map. Maybe take self-sacrifice off if she's dying, depends on what you have. But yeah, I'm using Ramza because he's a nice beefy unit, got some defense stacked here. And then I've got some, I'm going a little bit further into the defensive realm with this Mobius card, which again, we all got as long as we logged in during the Mobius time. So you can see it here that it gives you ice attack resist up, and if you were able to awaken this any further, you'll get more. So that's kind of nice. That's going to be good for everybody to have that ice attack resistance. And then otherwise, I do want to mention that you having a healer that has wide-reaching spells is really important. So obviously a calculator is pretty massive. It's a really big deal. And I actually think Halloween Leela could work here as long as she doesn't get hit. And that's not actually that hard because Ildira will often just stay up on the first platform and heal from there. So she rarely ever gets hit by anything. So Halloween Leela could do the same thing, although she's a little bit faster. So I don't know if that would mean if she would get down further earlier, but so yeah, this is the party, and I'm going to show you guys my run, and I'm going to tell you that I did test this. Like I did 10 runs and to see how many deaths I had, and again, it was just Frederica getting too far ahead, and that's fine because I accounted for that. I actually already did one brave farm with her to get her bravery back up again. So otherwise, this is the team. Here we go. So Frederica always jumps in, which is great, although she could just shoot from above with her ranger skills. Lunaverve is really big for Mont, so he can get his taunting blade off quickly. And even though I've got Ramza, I have a Lohengrin for him, I've actually realized that Ragnarok might be better for him anyway because he has some physical based attacks, all the Squire skills. So he might actually like a Ragnarok better than a Lohengrin, depending on what you're trying to do with him. So Ildira's AI is pretty annoying as she stays up on that platform, although that is good for this fight. It's kind of annoying on other fights. Let's finish this. So one other thing I'll mention with this is that with this team, my units seem to go exclusively for the mobs, like just the little guys, whereas my other team consistently farms down Fenrir and then goes after the ads, and obviously that makes it way more consistent. So I haven't been able to figure out the difference in AI for that, but if you can, maybe it's just a lack of mobility, like not having Victoria, like having Rain and Delita not be able to get as far. Maybe that means that they're going to go for the closer Fenrir, because in that encounter, Fenrir will often jump down into the lowest level there and be accessible to everybody. So that's definitely like worth testing out, because every time you kill one of these ice elementals, it spawns a new set of ads until you get to this final set that I just spawned, and that can be kind of tricky because the longer Fenrir's alive, the more he's going to be able to use his big AoE attacks. Like so. But you can see, honestly, calculator is a really big deal in this fight. So I don't know that I'm sure there's ways to farm without a calculator, but having that plume-sized Cura is just absolutely massive because so many people are being damaged by Fenrir, by his big AoEs. So many people are spread out. So I definitely think it's important to have a calculator. Another thing that I've noticed is that Fenrir's actually got pretty good evasion. So this is a lucky moment here where I don't have anyone paralyzed, right? Some matches you're going to have 1 or 2 units paralyzed, and it's really going to slow down the fight, and then healing is going to be absolutely essential. And that's where the variance is with the farming. And this is actually an odd fight too, because Frederica stayed back the whole time. But you're gonna see like a lot of evocation magic used too. So things that you might have noticed in my setup, I was using fire espers. Normally I have tetrasulfide on Frederica, and instead I put Odin because then I wouldn't have that ice weakness. So any little thing you can do to get that boost with your espers, with your vision cards, with your equipment, that's all going to come in handy. You know, giving the Alexandrite rings with 5% ice resistance because it gives all element resistance, that's going to be important. And I understand this is not everyone's going to be accessible to everybody, depending on where you are with your account, but there's always multi-farming. And I suggest you make your own rooms and find out which parties work for you, because if you make your own rooms, you can get the host bonus, but you can also keep out the people that are excluding you, that want Reigns and they want Delitas and they want Adelards and whatever. So multi-farming is super fast on this map for sure. So the one thing that absolutely infuriates me about this is how people will avoid crystals to the death. And it's insane. There's so many crystals that drop in this fight, and if people pick them up, one, it's going to solve your bravery issues, because they're just going to get brave up from all these crystals, and two, I could actually survive a lot more fights if everyone was picking up crystals, but they're not. And they just won't do it. And if I'm missing something, so there's a paralyze right there. If I'm missing something, someone please tell me, because it's absolutely insane that, you know, Mont's not going to grab a crystal here and heal up. That Victoria could have jumped from a different position with a crystal, but they won't grab him. But you can see, like, with this party, I'm on the line, but in the end, I'm getting the clear. So that's what's important. Alright, that's the video, and I hope it was useful to you to see that clear and to kind of see my setup. I know that I have vision cards and characters that not everyone's going to have, but I'm not the only one that is clearing this content. So if you have a formation that's working for you, particularly if you don't use fire units, then please share that in the comments below so that other people can see, well, I have that unit, I have that vision card, I have that setup. Then you can help other people with their testing, finding something that they can use for this encounter, because we actually have this for this week and the week after. So even if you don't have somebody right now, you might be able to, down the road before this goes, farm this event. And even if you only have 2 days left to farm this event, you could actually get a +5 in that time, or even just make an aim version or something for yourself to get some extra accuracy. So I do think it's a really interesting item, but more importantly, this is a really awesome stage to farm for materials for other items. So definitely consider giving it a try, doing some testing. You know, lose a little bravery, that's fine, you can get that back, and good luck.